So, yesterday I talked to you about quotation marks and the two reasons that we use quotation marks. And I'm sure that you probably found this page pretty straightforward and easy, at least I would hope so. The only two that I just wanted to mention are the split quotation ones. Those are usually the only ones that give people any serious trouble. So, let me change color. Blue. Okay, so number 8 and number 10 are the two split quotations. So that means that for this first one, your quotation marks start at the beginning of the sentence. They will end right before the dialogue tag, so right after the comma that's there. And then they're going to start up again because Dad is still talking. So they'll start again after is, and they'll end after the period. So just make sure you have all 4 of those quotation marks. And then for number 10, you have this very short initial quotation. Some people kind of miss it, but he is saying it. So, help! And the quotation marks do go after the exclamation point. Mine are a little on top of it, but and then the second phrase, we can't find our way out of this cave, will also have quotation marks around it. So I think those two are the only ones that seem to give people any trouble, but hopefully there was no trouble for you. Now for this page, I did tell you there were 2 sentences that were correct as is, and hopefully you discovered that number 2 was good as it was, and number 4 was good as it was. So you didn't need to change either of those. For the other ones, you were usually doing a little bit of moving. So like these quotation marks didn't need to be there. They actually needed to be before the S and silent. These quotation marks didn't need to be here. They needed to be after the period. So you're just doing a little bit of adjusting. I think the only one where you had to move both sets was number 7. Both of those quotation marks are rubbish because the name of the short story is King Midas and the Golden Touch. It's hard for me to get that second set in there, but you get the idea. Number 8 sometimes also gives people a little trouble because the Beatles is capitalized because it is the name of the band, but sometimes they have trouble realizing that can't is the beginning of the name of the song. So I guess you do have to move both sets in this one. And then love is the last word of the song. So can't buy me love. That's your Beatles song there. Okay, so like I said, probably pretty straightforward for you. But if you found it at all difficult, then definitely pay attention to this page, because now not only are we dealing with quotation marks, but we're also dealing with italics or underlining. Now, italics and underlining can be used interchangeably. You can use either one. So you'll see me doing underlining because, I'm using my dinky little drawing tools here. So obviously I cannot italicize anything. But since you guys are working on computers, you definitely could use italics and that would be fine. So we already talked about how for short things, such as poems, songs, articles, we use quotation marks. That is a rule that you already know. You practice with it on page 18. Now we're adding something to that. I mentioned that even though a newspaper article would get quotation marks, if you're talking about the name of the whole newspaper, it would not. What would happen to the whole newspaper would be the same thing that would happen for all of these longer works, which would be the italics or underlining. So if you have a name of a book, if you have the name of an album, the name of a newspaper, something big, something long, something where if I said you had to read it all at one time, you might cry, then that would be something that you would underline the title of. So, let's see. So looking at these 10 sentences, some sentences have one title, some have 2. Usually if a sentence has two titles, one title is going to be long and one title is going to be short. So I'll go ahead and tell you how many titles are in each sentence, and then I'll kind of do one with you because this is a tricky page, and then we'll see how it goes. So number 1 only has one title. So in spite of all these capitalized words, some of the capitalized words are just names. So you have to find the one title in that sentence, and it'll either get underlined or it will get quotation marks. Number 2 only has one title. Number 3 has two titles. Number 4 just has one. Number 5 has two. Number 6 just has one. And then I believe the last 4, I think all of these have two. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yep, all of them have two. So I'm going to do one of the two title sentences with you guys. Let's look at number 3. Whenever I run outside, I listen to Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. It's the best song on his album, which is also called Born in the USA. So hopefully you were able to tell that Born in the USA those are your two titles. Now, one of these titles is the title of a song. The other one is the title of an album. So which is longer, a song or an album? Hopefully you know that an album, an entire collection of songs, is longer than just one individual song, which means that the title of our song is a short title, and that would get quotation marks. And then the title of our album is a long title, and that would get underlined or italicized. So this first one, Born in the USA, it's the best song. Okay, so obviously this is the song title. So this first Born in the USA will get quotation marks. So that means this one's probably the album. His album, which is also called, yep, there it is. And I'm just going to underline because I can't italicize, but you can do either, which is also called Born in the USA. So that's all you're doing to the sentences. You're either adding quotation marks, or you're adding underlining, or you're adding both if it's a two-title sentence. It's just kind of tricky to find the titles, figure out what they are, and figure out what you need to do to them. So take your time, be careful. Okay. The other pages that I want to cover today are about homophones. Now, page 20 has no blue on it. That means there's nothing that you have to do. The only thing that you need page 20 for is if you get these words confused. Homophones are words that sound the same but are spelled differently and have different meanings. So here's a lot of common homophones, and I put them right next to each other. So accept and accept. They sound almost the same, but they mean very different things. Affect and effect. One means to alter, to change. The other refers to the alteration, what happened to the thing. So they are used differently in a sentence. So yeah, these are all of your lovely homophones that I want to make sure that you know. And then I've created some practice so that you can show me you know how to use them. So you are welcome to look on page 20 for definitions and examples, but you should come up with your own example sentence. Please do not copy my example sentences. I will recognize them. I made them up. So please use an original sentence. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Feel free to be creative. I had a guy one year who every single one of his homophone sentences was about Thor, God of Thunder. He was a big fan of Thor. So anyways, whatever you would like your crazy sentences to be about, just make sure you're using this word correctly in your sentence that you are writing. All right, and that is all for today. Doing the homophone sentences takes a little bit, to think of those ideas. So that's probably all we'll have time for. And yeah, that's it for today. Study for the quiz.